You have been told that if you just optimize one more thing, euros. Wake up 1 hour earlier. Adopt one more system. Squeeze one more task into the cracks of your D. You will finally have done enough. The people who sold it to you know it is a lie, and it is making you sick. The productivity industry, euros, the books, the apps, the courses, the YouTube channels, the morning routine influencers, euro, has created a multi-billion-dollar eco. But there is no system that can fill a bottomless hole. And the hole was deliberately dug. It is the business model. What the productivity gurus do not tell you is that human performance does not scale linearly with effort. You cannot produce twice as much by working twice as many hours. You cannot optimize your way to infinite output. The human brain and body have hard limits, and the most productive people in history are euros. The ones who actually changed the world euro understood this intuitively. Hustle culture has seduced an entire generation with the promise that grinding harder, sleeping less, and sacrificing everything for the goal is the path to great. It wraps self-destruction in the language of ambition. It tells you that if you are not exhausted, you are not trying hard enough. It turns burnout into a status symbol. The data tells a very different story. Knowledge workers, euros. The people who think for a living euros have a hard ceiling of about 4 to 5 hours of genuinely productive cognitive work per day. Beyond that, output drops sharply and errors multiply. After 50 hours in a week, additional hours add almost nothing to total output. After 55 hours, output actually declines, euros. You are producing less by working more. This is partly explained by Parkinson's law. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Give yourself 8 hours for a task that requires 2, and you will use 8 hours. But the productivity industry inverts this insight. Instead of shrinking the time, it tells you to create more tasks to fill every available minute euros. A recipe for busyness without achievement. Burnout is not just feeling tired. It is a measurable neurological condition. Chronic stress from overwork shrinks the prefrontal cortex euros, the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control. At the same time, it enlarges the amygdala, making you more reactive to threats euros, real and perceived. You become less capable of doing good work at the same time you are working harder. The World Health Organization officially classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon in 2019, characterized by 3 dimensions. Feelings of energy depletion. It is not a personal failure. It is an environmental injury. And hustle culture is the environment. Overwork does not just make you tired of euros. It makes you stupid about the very thing you are working on. Psychologists call this creative myopia. When you focus intensely on a problem for too long, your thinking narrows. You explore fewer alternatives. You miss obvious solutions. You become rigid. The most creative insights come not during focused work, but during periods of rest, play, and mind wandering. The incubation effect, euros, which we explored in depth when discussing the subconscious euro, is directly relevant here. When you step away from a problem, your subconscious continues working on it with access to a much broader network of associations. This is why your best ideas come in the shower, on a walk, or while doing something unrelated. Rest is not the absence of work euros. It is a different kind of work. Alex Sujung Kim Pang, in his book, Rest, studied the daily routines of history's most productive scientists, writers, and artists. He found a common pattern. They worked intensely for about 4 hours a day and spent the rest of their time walking, napping, exercising, and engaging in hobby. Charles Darwin worked in 3 90-minute blocks. Charles Dickens wrote from 9 to 2, and then walked for hours. Their productivity was not despite rest a euros. It was because of rest. Greg McKeown, in his book Essentialism, offers a framework that is the antidote to hustle culture. The core idea is simple. Do less, but better. Most of what we do is noise a euro, activities that feel productive but contribute little to what actually matters. The Essentialist asks a brutal question about every commitment. If I did not already do this, would I start doing it now? If the answer is no, stop. The 80-20 principle, a euro. The Pareto principle, a euro, states that roughly 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. In most areas of life, a small number of high-leverage activities produce the vast majority of value. The productivity trap is spending 80% of your time optimizing the 20% that does not matter. The Essentialist identifies the 20% and eliminates the rest. Cal Newport's concept of deep work a euros, which we touched on earlier a euro, is the practice of focusing without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. Deep work is what produces high-value output. But here is the key. You can only do deep work for about 4 hours a day, maximum. Trying to do more degrades the quality of all of it. The most productive people protect their 4 hours fiercely and do not apologize for the rest. Notice the shift? The productivity industry focuses on time management, a euros. How to squeeze more tasks into your hours. The science points to attention management, a euros. How to direct your best cognitive energy to your most important work. Time is a fixed resource. Attention is a renewable but limited resource. Managing attention is the real productivity skill. Multitasking is a myth. What we call multitasking is actually task switching, a euros. Rapidly moving attention between different tasks. Every switch imposes a cognitive cost. Research shows that heavy multitaskers are worse at filtering irrelevant information, worse at organizing their thoughts, and worse at switching between tasks. Multitasking makes you worse at everything. Decision fatigue is another hidden limit. Every decision you make a euros. What to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first a euros, depletes the same limited pool of mental energy. By the end of a day filled with trivial decisions, your capacity for important decisions is depleted. This is why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day, and why Barack Obama limited his wardrobe. Choices a euro, to preserve decision energy for what mattered. The morning routine industrial complex has convinced millions of people that the first 2 hours of their day must include meditation, journaling, exercise. For most people, this creates more stress, not less. The only universal truth about morning routines is that they should be simple, consistent, and genuinely restorative a euros. Not another performance to optimize. Hustle culture has a particular hatred for sleep. The phrases are familiar. I will sleep when I am dead. Sleep is for the weak. You can sleep when you are successful. This is not just wrong a euro. It is physiologically destructive. Every hour of sleep you sacrifice reduces your cognitive performance the next day, impairs your decision-making, and accelerates your biological aging. You are not buying extra time euros. You are borrowing from a loan shark. The most productive people do not feel guilty about rest. They understand that rest is a productivity input, not a productivity failure. When they are not working, they are genuinely not working euros. Not checking email, not thinking about the next task, not half working while half resting. True rest restores. Guilty rest euros, where you are not working but feel like you should be euro, restores nothing. The highest leverage productivity skill is not time management or task management euros. It is learning to say no. To say no to meetings that do not need you. To say no to projects that do not align with your goals. To say no to social obligations that drain you. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. And you cannot get that time back. So what does this look like in practice? If you accept that your cognitive peak is about 4 hours a day, that multitasking is destructive, and that rest is productive, how do you actually structure life? First, time block your 4 peak hours for your most important work. Identify when your energy is naturally highest euros. For most people, this is the morning euros. And protect those hours ruthlessly. No notifications. No interruptions. 4 hours of deep work produces more value than 40 hours of shallow, interrupted, multitasking busyness. Second, manage your energy, not your time. Your cognitive performance follows a natural ultradian rhythm, euro. Cycles of about 90 minutes of high focus, followed by about 20 minutes of lower focus. Work with this rhythm. Work intensely for 90 minutes. Take a genuine break euros. Walk, stretch, breathe, but do not scroll. Then start the next cycle. 3 good cycles is a highly productive day. Third, single task. For the duration of your focus block, do exactly one thing. Close every other tab. Silence every other app. Put your phone in another room. If a new thought or task arises, write it down on a piece of paper and return to it later. Single tasking is not just more efficient euros. It is deeply satisfying. It feels good to do one thing completely. Fourth, implement an evening shutdown ritual. At a consistent time each day euro. Say, 6 or 7 in the evening euro. Declare the workday over. Review what you accomplished. Write down the top 1 to 3 priorities for tomorrow. Then close your computer and do not open it again. Your subconscious will process the next day's priorities while you rest. You will wake up clearer. Fifth, invest in the quality of your rest. Active rest euro. Exercise, social connection, creative hobbies, time in nature euros restores more effectively than passive rest, like scrolling or watching TV. The goal of rest is not to do nothing. The goal is to engage in activities that genuinely restore your cognitive and emotional resources. Find what restores you and protect it as fiercely as you protect your work time. And now the deepest shift. Separate your worth from your output. You are not a productivity machine. Your value as a human being is not measured in tasks completed, revenue generated, or optimization achieved. The productivity industry profits from your belief that you must earn your rest, earn your joy, earn your right to exist. That belief is the trap. You do not need to earn your existence. The most radical act in a culture obsessed with more is to declare, I have done enough, not because you have completed everything a euro. You never will a euro, but because you have done what matters today. Enough is not a quantity. It is a decision. And it is a decision only you can make. The most productive people in the world do not do more. They do less of what does not matter, so they can do more of what does. They protect their 4 hours. They say no constant. They rest without guilt. They measure their lives in impact, not in busyness. And they understand, at the deepest level, that the goal of productivity is not to produce more euros. It is to produce what matters, and then be done. So tonight, when you feel the pull to squeeze in one more task, one more optimization, one more thing to add to your already overflowing plate of euros, stop, ask yourself, does this actually matter? Or am I just afraid of stopping? And if it does not matter, let it go. Tomorrow, you will do the work that matters, and then you will rest again. That is not laziness.